Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Erotically Empowered. You know the drill. This is where we talk about all things pleasure, intimacy, and unapologetic feminine power. This is where we go deep to unlock and awaken your greatest pleasure, ecstasy, and all the deliciousness, the life of turn on that you want to live, the life led by desire and your feminine magic and orgasmic essence, all of that. Now, I did just record another episode, and during the episode, my phone was slowly sliding down. Those who watched it on video, you'll see it was slowly sliding down. I don't know what's wrong with my tripod. I don't know. I've propped it up, and I'm hoping that it doesn't happen to this one. But if my head starts slowly getting closer to the top, you'll know why. Anyway, I want to talk today about coding yourself for pleasure. So your coding is made up of your subconscious programming. It is made up of your conditioning around certain topics, your beliefs. It is, if you are unsure of what your coding is, you just simply need to look at any area of your life. Because remember, your life, the results you have in your life, are primarily dictated by your subconscious programming. It's this underlying programming that controls your behaviors. It controls what you manifest and attract, like the law of attraction, the law of vibration, which governs our universe, says that we will only attract what we aligned with inside. Like attracts like. So what you are coded with is what you will attract. So let's say you continue to attract toxic men, toxic relationships. Your coding is what is controlling that. It's not happening by chance. You're not accidentally coming across these men. And I know that can be confronting. That's like a whole other topic. But that is what you are aligned with. Your coding to do with relationships and love are perhaps, unworthiness, that you aren't worthy to be treated well, or whatever it is. That's your coding that is dictating those results. Now, when it comes to pleasure, your coding, again, is dictating what you are or are not experiencing. So now, I can say that, like, my codes, I have the pleasure codes, baby. I have the pleasure codes. I feel and experience pleasure just freely and unapologetically. It just unfolds, from within me. Did I always have these codes? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My coding, my subconscious programming was, back then that, number one, I wasn't worthy of experiencing that. Number two, it wasn't safe to be in my body. Number three, that pleasure was hard. Like, I believed that it was hard and it was normal to rely on high-powered toys to feel something, that was normal. And I would hear those statistics that that's okay if you rely on toys. And I will always say, I have nothing against toys, but if you are dependent on super high intensity and you don't want to be, I'm here to tell you, you don't freaking have to be, okay? But it was me believing that added into this programming and conditioning that's just how it is. And those were the codes that were imprinted so deeply in me. Now, before I began any of the somatic self-pleasure work, any of the body awareness and connecting to the body, I was shifting my programming around pleasure, and I began to code myself for pleasure. That is what put everything in my path, the teachers, the learnings, all of that, to start then connecting in the ways that I hadn't previously known, but all of a sudden it started appearing once I started coding myself to be that person who experiences pleasure freely. And then when I started going into that work, I had this belief that I had rewritten and rewired myself for, that pleasure gets to be easy. Pleasure, I am an orgasmic goddess. And I've spoken many, many times, and I'll say it again, some of the programming that I would write every day in my scripting, my journal, my whatever you want to call it, scripting, was I experienced mind-blowing, soul-expanding, deeply connected intimacy and sex. My partner and I can't keep our hands off each other. I am multi-orgasmic with ease and flow. I was coding myself to be that woman before I even knew how to be that woman. So this is what put everything in my path. And then when I started connecting to my body, I was able, it took me a little bit in the beginning to let go of this pressure of trying to make things happen, but then I was able to let go and come back to this coding, this identity that I know I am this multi-orgasmic woman. I fucking know. And it's going to unfold in real time when it does. Like, I don't care. I just know that I am this woman. And my only job is to connect to that. It was rewiring myself, recoding myself to be the woman that I am today, long before the orgasm showed up, long before the epic, mind-blowing, soul-expanding, deeply connected intimacy ever happened. I became that version of me inside. I changed my programming to support the identity of that woman. I shifted from the woman playing the fucking victim that it's his fault that I'm not experiencing great intimacy. Like there was, even though I wasn't outwardly blaming my partner at the time, there was a part of me that was like, I would get frustrated at him. Bless him. Like, it was never his fault, but I would get frustrated if the friggin' high-powered toy didn't even work during sex. And I would get so annoyed, I would play the fucking victim and ruin the whole intimacy, because that's the programming that I was being ruled by. And I switched that to become, no, I am a woman who deserves to experience pleasure freely. I experience my pleasure freely. I am just so alive in my body with pleasure. These are the things that I would rewire myself and affirm day in, day out, every single freaking day, until I became that version of me on the inside. I had coded myself for pleasure, again, long before pleasure came, and that is why the pleasure started to arise and expand. And I started to know that this is who I was, even when I still wasn't experiencing that, right? I coded myself. I did the identity work. And this is huge. I had to shift a lifetime. Like it wasn't until like my mid-30s when this all started unfolding. I had to shift a lifetime of being that version of me who thought pleasure was hard and I wasn't worthy of experiencing that and it wasn't safe to let go. I had to rewire a lifetime of that to code myself to become the identity of the woman who gets to experience it all. And I did that. And so affirmations are, and this is what, when you're writing and you're scripting, this is what you're doing. But it's far beyond affirmations. You have to change the frequency within to shift. You can't just sit here and go, yep, I am an orgasmic woman. I feel my pleasure freely. Okay, why am I not feeling my pleasure? Like, fuck no. That is doing nothing. You can say these affirmations to the cows come home, but if you are not coding them at a deep fucking cellular level, if you are not changing the frequency within you, the frequency that, remember, is determining what you attract. If you are still vibrating down here at the version of that victim, the woman who blames the men, and perhaps rightly so, you have been treated poorly by men, but if you are still blaming the men and focusing on that, you're vibrating down here. I'm sorry, babe, you are vibrating down here, and you need to be vibrating up here of taking that ownership and that vibration of love and openness to attract what you want. You are never going to attract the pleasure and the intimacy that you want if you are stuck down here in victim mode. Okay, you've got to recode yourself. You've got to shift into that frequency of that woman. And that woman who experiences that is not the woman who is so focused on blaming everyone else. She is the woman that goes, okay, I know that there was a part of me that attracted that and allowed that. And isn't that fucking awesome? Because that means that I get to now decide what I attract and what I experience. Wow, I am the creator of my own life and experiences. They don't get to, nobody else gets to decide what I experience but me. You've got to become that. You cannot become that turned on, like meaning this woman who is just magnetic, electric, alive. Her body hums. She is connected to her body. She is able to be with this aliveness as all the array of emotions arise. You cannot become that woman by being stuck in victim and being focused on pleasure is hard. I don't know, men treat me shit. It's hard. I'm just forever going to be, even being focused on orgasm is lowering your vibration and is not coding you for pleasure. Because remember, a woman who feels her pleasure freely is not a woman who is trying to orgasm. She feels her orgasm because she is fully in her body and allowing the natural erotic energy to flow within her. That's where her turn on arises from. And that's why she feels her orgasm freely. That kind of woman, the women that you see online, who are no different to you, by the way, like no woman is better than anyone else. It's just these women have, figured this out. And it took me a long time. And this is why you can't shut me up about this now, because I want you to experience this. But these are simply the women who did the work to shift, to realize I am the creator, I get to decide. And so this is changing. When you are connecting to these affirmations, you need to feel them. You need to feel them in your heart, in your body, in your pussy. You need to feel this to start coding you. Okay? You, and this can take practice and time to really start to embody this, and this is why all the pieces of the puzzle come together. The body connection can help you drop in and release that state of tension and stress, and then you can recode. And this is why I'm going to drop this in the notes, the show notes, or it's in my profile. You can find it on social media. My 2-step system, totally free, drop in and turn on, has 2 parts. It's the body connection to help connect to your body and regulate the nervous system. And then it's the fucking coding of pleasure. It's literally an audio, a rampage that you can put on and feel those words, the energy of my words coding you. And what you can do when you're listening to this or you're writing your scripting is I want you to really feel, how does that feel in your body? How does it feel if you were this turned on orgasmic woman who, enters a room and the air in the room begins to change because it just hums with the vibration of this electricity flowing from you? How does that feel? Start to connect that. Start to become her, and you will start to forget about trying to fucking orgasm. That's such a low vibe, baby. If you are still trying to orgasm and trying to have good sex, like that is so low vibe. That is so beneath you, babe. You are up here. You are coding yourself to, I know that's what I get to experience. And I know that the law of attraction, the law of vibration says, the laws that govern our universe, whether you believe and understand it or not, says that if I am aligned with that, it has to change in the physical world. And there's a bit of a time delay. Sometimes it can take, sometimes 6 to 8 weeks for the external world to catch up. And then, there's no time frame on this, but just know that like it can take time. It can take months to start to awaken your body, or it can happen like that. But when you become that woman who just knows you are that, time doesn't fucking matter, because this is what you are going to experience. You know this, and you know that if you align with this and you code yourself to be this pleasure being, that the physical world has to reflect that. It has to. And this will start to reflect, like, if you are in a relationship right now, or a marriage, let's say, and the intimacy is lacking, and you are putting all your focus on this intimacy is shit, he doesn't know how to please me, or let's say he doesn't want to please me, he doesn't give a fuck of what I'm telling him. If you are focused on that, what do you think you are going to get more of? If you have coded yourself to stay in that victim mode of this is just how it is, he is the problem, our intimacy is shit. If that is how you have coded yourself and you are continuing to code yourself, what do you think your external world is going to reflect? If you flip the switch and go, okay, I am the creator of every single thing in my life, and I start to embody and become and code myself for pleasure, to be this orgasmic woman and turn on, what do you think is going to start happening? Your external world has to start reflecting. It has to. It is the laws of the universe. And this is why I say one of two things often will happen. Either number one, and this happens with learning how to communicate as well, but your partner will naturally begin to desire to grow with you. He will feel the energetic shift within you, and he will subconsciously, whether he even realizes this or not, know that he's got to start stepping up to grow in this area with you. And he will want to, and he will open up and want to grow. Or perhaps what will happen is that relationship will fade away and end. Okay? But you don't need to think about that. If you continue to focus on what is going wrong, that is the programming and what you are conditioning yourself for to continue coming. You need to focus on you, coding yourself to become that woman who experiences divine intimacy and pleasure, who is turned on to her fucking magic and feminine power. You just got to focus on that. And then the rest of the world, your world around you, will start to shift in the ways that it needs to align with you. Okay? But the more you focus on lack and what you don't have, then you're coding yourself to be that woman who is experiencing lack, who isn't being connected to in the way she wants to be, who doesn't feel pleasure, whose body doesn't feel worshipped and seen by her partner. If you continue to focus on that, that's what you're saying you want more of. So begin to code yourself to be the woman that you know you are. That is why you are listening to this. You know you are already this woman. You know that it makes sense that you were born to feel this freely, and it is now time to release the bullshit programming of the world, that this system, this matrix that has caused you to live disconnected, and to come back to this innate pleasure that exists within you. And by coding yourself to know that you believe unapologetically, wholeheartedly, that you deserve to experience that, period. So you can start with your scripting every day, or you can start with that audio, the second audio in my free system. Start popping it on. Start popping it on in the car, and don't just let it be your background noise. Pop it on and immerse yourself in it. Pop it on, have your lunch, pop some headphones on, sit on the couch or sit on your bed and immerse yourself. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself be coded by that frequency of mine as I guide you through. And I would love to hear, obviously, where you are on your journey. And if you start implementing all that I'm teaching, I want to hear what is unfolding for you, because it will never not be exciting and deeply fulfilling to me to be witnessing other women awaken and come into their magic. Like, it makes me emotional, because I know the depth of impact this has in your entire life when you awaken to the woman that you were meant to be, and the pleasure is just the byproduct of that. Whew. I will see you next time. Thank you for being here. I love you. Go and just connect to yourself, rewire, and experience all the delicious ecstasy and juiciness that you freaking deserve.